going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me for this reaction. Today is Shigaraki versus Mahito Death Battle. It seems you guys really like my Death Battle reactions, so I'll be reacting to more episodes. I'm familiar with Shigaraki. I have no idea who Mahito is. I have not watched Jujutsu Kaisen. Since I don't know who that is, I'm going with Shigaraki. He has a Decay quirk, so he basically can destroy anything in the vicinity. I'm excited to see what we're in for. Let's go! He looks cool.
Fight!
Death Battle!
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and
Human
I'm
disaster
Boomstick.
curse. What's up?
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Death Battle!
Tenko Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy who loved superheroes.
But sometimes the hand of fate can't abide sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or
Then all for one.
quirk.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength. In his terror, he accidentally killed his whole family. Well, except for dear old dad. That
Wait.
one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets
said
alone,
League of
silently
Legends.
begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found
All for
belonged
one.
to the devil.
All for one. The greatest
There he is.
supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his League of Villains in destroying hero society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does
Yeah.
what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to
Go on.
dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that dorky-ass costume. I get it, hands
costume's
are his
cool.
thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and fake.
Oh,
No.
those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
While his use of Decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to
He was so
whatever he's
dangerous.
touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that
man.
can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After
Race
years
ahead.
of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the
All
number one
Might.
hero, All Might.
Only
Yeah!
to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well,
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life, in front of
would.
normies.
but they say defeat is the greatest teacher of all. Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might
Epic
and All
fight.
for One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally
He did.
battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front.
Yeah, I remember
Thousands of
that.
new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All for One's personal quack, Dr. Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been
Oh,
constant
man.
agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly
Yeah.
increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into
That's
the
from the
sky.
movie.
We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT. TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch. Now the new name for my penis. Move over, Gigantico Megastorm. Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became? Oh shit, more hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh
hands
into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All for One, so what better way than the old man's quirk?
All for One's quirk, All for One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All for One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body, and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And with those vestiges came quirks, like super fast healing, air blast, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All for One's vestige, that means All for One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tanko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might. That is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose: to create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All for One to take full control.
But All for One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All for One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
For just that one moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole life, the one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about. He got a hero who tried to save him.
Aww. The tragedy, man. Death Battle!
Ever since Cain slew his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd have the special grade curse with the patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal, though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger, depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger. Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a Jujutsu sorcerer to come in and Kaisen the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses
that's what it means.
Sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito was special. You see, most curses are basically dumb animals. But Mahito
What?
has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power.
Alright.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your
What
steps
is
in.
that?
He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy, considering his curse
it's a
technique,
visual.
idle transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch, including his
come
own.
on.
In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the
That
body
thing smiled.
share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into literally anything he wants. Like Play-Doh, he can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or
Alright.
fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body are instantly fatal.
And since he's
The head
attacking your
was on a
soul,
sword?
those physical wounds are gonna be impossible to heal.
Even if his alteration isn't directly fatal, the human body won't last more than a few moments in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch! God, I thought herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he gleefully gleefully experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more
this
twisted is
guy
when
is
he
crazy.
combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity. Essentially a giant torrent of body horror flesh that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
Mahito is
was
unbelievably
that?
creative with his application of idle transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a
2.5.
mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise
Mach
then that Mahito also
932.
unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer
not real.
techniques, the domain expansion.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idle transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's
This is getting
absolute
crazier.
control over his victim's body and soul. The only time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things,
ooh,
blah,
the
blah,
neck.
blah, he also had a curse inside of him.
The king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant Mahito's ability affected both souls in Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that. No surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the
Oh,
value
man,
of human life
the
flew directly
headbutt.
in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons
now
of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can get,
numbers
especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last.
crap.
In a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won out. In a dog-eat-dog world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he tucked tail and ran away like a bitch. And what do you know? Life suddenly became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it was about to end.
All that gleeful
What is this?
nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him, maybe. But Mahito found a convert in his archenemy. After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people, Yuji's youthful spirit was gone. The only thing left that mattered was exorcising this curse.
In a way, that
Oh,
was Mahito's
man.
final victory, the destruction of
mercy.
another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees.
So what is the good guy a bad guy now?
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the
Yeah.
data through all possibilities.
It's time for a
Death
death
battle!
battle!
Yeah, let's do this. Whoa! Oh, man. Dude!
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them your head instead?
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition.
Oh, the no move. That's outside help, isn't it? Get some speed. Okay. Oh, it's even.
Game over.
Oh!
Did you actually just say that?
We both have regeneration, right?
God, how
What?
lame!
Ooh! Alright. Oh, the neck! Hey, man, this is...
Audition
Yeah.
over.
Oh, he's mad.
Did I get the part?
Whoa!
Decay!
Open hands. Can he take his power? Ooh!
What a rush!
I think we're into a tree. Oh. This is a gross fight.
That all you got?
What in the world is happening?
Domain expansion.
Alright, I shouldn't have asked. The visuals are insane.
Jujutsu. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy is mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
Wow, this is psychological warfare. Oh, yeah, all for one?
My masterpiece.
Oh, that looks like...
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way.
He's scared! He's scared!
Totally random. I
He's
hate
running!
them for a reason.
The head!
You grow up.
Oh, man! He won!
What did I say, Wiz? Like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical
three?
stats, survivability, and their powers.
But
All right.
first, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the search quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So seeing Mahito
Right.
wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster
covered their
curses
bases.
being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster too,
Wow.
considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki
speeds.
takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability, Shigaraki was a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique
Okay.
curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which
So
presents
he just
a
got the
crucial
edge.
question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years, but
So
none
many
that we know
combinations.
of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idle transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to
Gotcha.
damage Deku's vestige and have
Yeah.
that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Mahito
Yup.
may be made of spirit energy, but he still has a physical form.
Ooh,
In fact,
ooh, ooh,
sorcerers
ooh.
that couldn't naturally
Hmm.
target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigaraki the third and final edge. It was a unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
The winner is
Nice.
Tomura Shigaraki.
Next time on Death Battle.
What is next time? Okay, the first person shooter?
Subscribe
Master
and
Chief!
join as a member to see more
Master
Death
Chief
Battle.
versus
Thanks for
Doomslayer.
watching.
Alright, that was a good death battle. I chose Shigaraki because I was more familiar with him, but Mahito was no pushover. What I like about both of these characters is that they're both pretty powerful, but they have interesting personalities. So whenever you're writing a story, give your villain a personality and make sure that they're a threat. A hero is only as good as his villain. What do you think about this death battle? Leave your comments, like, share, subscribe. Take it easy.